Welcome to Malaysia from the hour of IIUM, whatever, okay. I just found out that you arrived early this morning, so you must still be tired, okay. I will try my best to make it meaningful for you. And I'm in the field of education, and I know that you are in the field of economics, right? So I hope the example that I will draw is from education, but I think you can transfer it to economics, I mean, at least the principles. I want to talk about this topic, IOK, and challenges in designing curriculum. And I think, Professor, the morning session has already read in length about IOK. And also I think, since you are trying to Islamize the curriculum, so basically I think you know what is IOK. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing it, you wouldn't be here. I mean, before you can do that, you need to have the knowledge, right? The only thing is, how would you translate this IOK into practice? And how do you translate it? You know the concept, you know the philosophy behind it. But how do you translate it? How do you translate it? Okay? I think there are several, just to capture a little bit, okay? When we talk about the Islamization of knowledge, I guess we are aware that Allah has given a certain way to acquire knowledge. And basically you can put that into two kinds. Either with the Nakliyah sciences, that receives, that generates knowledge through revelation. And of course, there's no more nuclear sciences for all of us, because the UN stopped with the death of Prophet ﷺ. Okay? But what we mean by revelation today is basically dealing with the nuclear sciences, which means in terms of going back to Quran and Sunnah, which requires, I would say, a different interpretation according to the different time. So in other words, there are people who specialize in this area, and it's their role to be able to because the Quran is relevant for all time, and also say the Sunnah is also a guidance for us, which is relevant for all time. So it's the job of certain specialists, okay, who would work in this field to make the interpretation relevant for our contemporary life. And then of course there are other people who are good in getting the other kind of knowledge, the Akhlaq sciences, whereby they use their reason, their rational, and also their senses, right? To deal with empirical sciences, okay? But this is what it has happened in the past. We have been secluded in the sense that we have the ulama who deal with this one set of knowledge, and we have another set of intellectuals who deal with this kind of knowledge. So in that sense, we are not integrated, right? And it is our aspiration, I guess, to have every Muslim to be at least grounded in the Fardu Ain. And that's why it's called Fardu Ain. Fardu Ain means it is for the individual. Yeah? And it is, in some sense, it is finite. Because that science don't grow anymore. There's no more prophet. So that's why every one of us can know the Fardu Ain. At least to lead our own life. Okay? But if our knowledge of Fardu Ain is not deep enough, then we cannot really apply it. Suppose I'm a doctor, or I'm a medical doctor, or I'm a scientist, okay, with knowledge that I acquire from the non-Muslim or secular institution, okay, I wouldn't be able to apply it in the context of the revealed sciences unless I know that they use sciences. But unfortunately, our system doesn't allow us to accumulate much of the nuclear sciences. But our system does, our system of education after independence from the colonial master, we change our system, it does give us the basic foundation. In fact, most Muslim countries, I think the students will study Islamic sciences for 11 years. Let's say 6 years in the primary and 5 years in secondary. So that is enough to start us off. We wouldn't say that it's complete. It is enough to start us off, to know our basic law, or basic Sharia. For us, then to be able to integrate it with the Fardu Kifaya. Okay? So you see here the division, and then of course the mode. One is the revelation, the other is speculation, the rational inquiry. Okay? But the question is, what should we do? How should we do? Okay, so if I look at one scholar here in Malaysia who founded this institute, there is okay, Alatas. Okay? He said that if you want to do Islamization, if you want your body of knowledge, whether you're teaching economics or you're teaching, let's say, science, pure science, natural sciences, or you're teaching social science, sociology, especially social science, sociology, psychology, education, and so on. If you want to make it Islamic, with your understanding now that we want to produce students who are integrated, then you have to have these elements infused, because these elements, he said, has been withdrawn from the Western sciences, Western texts. The notion of the holistic notion of man, that is no more in your economic text. Yeah, in your economic text, homo economus, right? He's an economic animal. He just consume materially. But that is contradictory to the Muslim version of the insan. He's not just an homo economus. He is also a man with spiritual being. So that's why the first thing we have to make sure that our philosophy in teaching whatever subject is that we have the correct notion or concept of insan. So when we teach economics, we just cannot emphasize supply and demand, and then deceive people in marketing using psychology. So keep vetting their appetites, So that would be contradictory. So this is why we have to infuse the nature of man, and then also the nature of religion, because the concept of religion as practiced in the West today is different. So they have separated the private and the public domain. So religion is a private affair. It doesn't interfere with the public affair. That is again a contradiction to our own conception of religion. So when you draft the textbook, when you deliver your lecture, you must be aware that in the Muslim philosophy, religion is penetrating everywhere. You cannot separate. So this is one. And the other thing is knowledge here in Ma'rifah. It's not just technical knowledge, but knowledge in Islam is knowledge that will guide a person to recognize his creator, to understand his role as Imam and Khalifah. So that's why that knowledge should also be integrated with the revealed knowledge as well. Then only you can say it is what you call this, integrated. Okay? There are other concepts here, but this is one way when we say Islamize. What do we Islamize? At least we must have these elements that is very basic to Islamic conception of knowledge. Okay? I mean, of education.
Ma'am?
Yes.
I have one question.
Right.
You have said more consumption. If I am not wrong, you have said more consumption is not Islamic.
Most what?
More consumption.
Consumption.
More material consumption.
Excess consumption.
Excess consumption is not Islamic.
Consumption, you mean? Yeah, excessive consumption. Islam says you must be neither too much here or too little.
Then there is a valid question. If people as a whole is consuming less, then production may be hampered. Because if people are consuming more, that encourages producers to produce more because they can sell. But if consumption as a whole is minimized or reduced, then production may be hampered. Because if you cannot sell your product, you will not be encouraged to produce more. Then the size of the economy may be reduced. Then Islam may be blamed as anti-development. What is your answer?
Well, if you want to follow the Western paradigm, that's why it is. You must make sure that you whet the appetite, they absorb more and more so that you have more production, you have more things. But I don't think that what is. And then even if you have more things, you still see poor people not having enough to eat. What kind of economy is that?
Allah in the second surah and third verse, Allah said, "Amimma razaqnahum yunfiqun." Allah has encouraged to spend more. Amimma razaqnahum yunfiqun. If anybody is not consuming, what will be the alternative use of money?
No, I think there should be moderation there, balance. It is because man is consuming so much today. I think that's why only.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you call this?
In response
it is the theory of Western economics to whet your appetite, although you don't need this product, but because you keep seeing the advertisement and so on, then you feel you need it, right? Whereas you don't need it. And that's why the extra money that you have, you can use to help the poor.
Because of this extra consumption, economy is expanding. Economy is expanding. But if you reduce consumption, economy will be stricken.
No.
Yes, I think somebody among the economists can respond to that.
I want simple clarification.
Yeah.
That is, this thing, it doesn't mean that you should reduce your consumption drastically, or it doesn't mean that you should reduce your overall consumption. But what this means is simply what I understand. That is my personal perception. That simply what is discouraged is personal consumption. You should not spend too much. You should not do in such a way that some other people, they are deprived. So what you should ensure, your neighbors, they are also getting the right amount that they deserve. And then by shrinking my own personal consumption, what I can do, I can contribute to others' consumption. And what that it will let me finish, sir. Then what will happen? Entire overall consumption will remain unchanged, or even it may increase, because one single person, what he or she can consume, other people together, they can consume rather more than the single person can do. In that case, the entire economic size will rather increase.
Yes,
rather
I think you explained it because
that's what is my understanding.
I also agree with sir.
It's good interpretation.
And not only that, producing more, we can also export to some other countries.
right.
In general, if people in general is not consuming, my question is, people of other countries, they will be again indoctrinated in that philosophy. They consume less. If you say consume less, then you will be consuming less, your neighbor will be consuming less, other people's countries people will be consuming less. If less consumption is Islamic.
No, I think even if
Economical consumption.
okay, even if the person
less consumption is Islamic.
okay, can I
There should not have any dispute
okay,
about this.
even if there is if you consume less, but now you allow more people to consume, you still have the same amount of thing. But today only a few people can consume it, the rest cannot consume anything. So
Can I
yes, I think
Excuse me, can I intervene here,
I
right?
think you will
Please,
explain later on.
you have to ask the right questions to the right people. Prof. Rosnani is not in economics, so please wait until we discuss it in economics. You can bring all these issues on Sunday.
Yeah.
She's talking about curriculum, so keep it to the curriculum. If you have any questions on the economics, bring it on Sunday. Alright, please, because it will be fair to the speaker.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So they are saying that what needs to be infused because they as Islamic, right? So this is one set of criteria. If you want to do Islamization, here's one set of criteria what we have to infuse in whatever our knowledge. And then there's another set here. This is from Asma Al-Faruqi. It talks about 5 unity of the first principle of Islamic methodology. And this is very nicely put here. Unity of Allah is Tawheed, unity is creation, unity of truth and unity of knowledge, unity of life and unity of humanity. So here when we say unity of creation, you should be able to see Allah in whatever, whether it is in the what do you call this, in the natural world, okay, natural world, or even in the Quran itself. You should be able to see that there is one creator for all of this, okay? Regardless of beings, regardless of human beings, okay? And then unity of truth and unity of knowledge. In other words, whether it is from the revealed knowledge, the Kitab, Al-Quran, or from the what do you call this, natural phenomena, you will see that it reflects Allah, and Allah says so. So in other words, in our whatever we write, whatever we discuss, we should bear this in mind, because these are the first principles of Islam. Okay, even you have so many people, humanity, you have the Bangladeshis, the Malaysians, the Christians, the Muslims, but all originate from Adam alayhi salam. So that's why there is also unity of humanity. Okay, and so these are again 5 considerations we have to bear when we do what we call our attempt to Islamize, whether in the curriculum or in knowledge or even in our personality. Well, some people say that we can Islamize by inserting Quranic verses or hadith, okay, or looking for scientific facts in the Quran, or search for Quranic proof of scientific facts, search for parallels between Islamic and Western concepts, using Islamic terminology instead of Western, adding Islamic ideas to Western corpus of knowledge, adding Islamic subject to Western school or curriculum, Western school or Western curriculum. Yeah. Yes, I think these are attempts, but they are not sufficient. It is good attempts. I mean, at least by inserting Quranic verses and hadith, we are introducing to our students that what they are studying is related to what is there in our tradition. Okay? And also we'll explain to them the meaning of the Quran at the same time. So it is good. Okay? But it is not sufficient. We don't want them later on to go up into the world and also they become future teachers and they will say, this is it about Islamization of knowledge. It's just putting this, doing this. But these are important, but they are not sufficient. Okay? Because the more necessary thing is the philosophy of it. Okay, the philosophy, the concept, you mentioned just now, the concept of insan, all those things, and also the unity of the principles of unity. Okay? Now, there are others who say that in order to Islamize, we should Islamize the methodologies of research, our epistemology. Okay? And I think that is one of the most important things, our epistemology. Because if you look at Western epistemology today, as I've shown just now, we have the 2 Fardu'ain or Kifayah, or ilmu aqliyah. If you're talking about using Western knowledge, you notice that even psychology, which means to be the study of the soul, has no more soul in it. It's just basically human being. And if you know, they made human being to be behavioristic. That was the first theory about how psychology tried to explain human behavior using theory of behaviorism, expounded by Skinner. And that only reflects on stimulus and response. In other words, you touch a hot iron, you draw your hand out. So in other words, it's stimulus and response. That degrades human being because we have what we call feeling, and we have also what we call desire, right? So if you just reduce it to stimulus and response, that means it is mechanical. And that might be true for animal, but it cannot be true for human being. And that's why even today, the behaviorist theory has also been criticized even by Western people. But it is in a sense useful for education, because you know that practice makes perfect, right? That comes from the behaviorist theory. You practice and then the response is good. You practice some more, it gets better. So there are some parts of the theories which are still relevant. For example, small children, you want them to pass for the whole day, you start giving them 50 cents a day, or maybe $1 a day. Okay? If they pass today, half day, you give them 50 cents. Then they're motivated to pass tomorrow full day, you give them $1. So in other words, that is again stimulus reinforcement, we call it. Okay? So this is the most important thing is our epistemology. Do we take into consideration both the natural and clear? Okay? Do we recognize man as spiritual? Okay, so this is, and then of course some people say we Islamize the interpretation of the worldview, Islamize the users, morally correct application. So that's why you see some scholars who say that, for example, Fazlur Rahman, they will not agree on Islamization because the fact that the most important thing is the user of the knowledge. They say you cannot map knowledge. Say this is Islamic knowledge, this is un-Islamic knowledge. Because you feel that knowledge are useful, and it's the thing that makes them harmful are the user. So if the user uses the knowledge for a negative purpose, then definitely you will get harmful results from that. For example, coming up with the atomic bomb. There's nothing wrong with discovering E equals to mc squared. So you are discovering the law of Allah, isn't it? Through physics. But how you use that knowledge? If you use it for medical reason, that's good. But once you use it to make an atomic bomb and to drop it, resulting in the death of thousands, then you have misused the knowledge. So this is, some say what need to be Islamized is the users. Okay? They have to be morally correct. And some says we have to Islamize the paradigms of the discipline, shift it from secular to Islamic worldview. We say about Islamic worldview, that will refer also, I would say the Islamic worldview deals with the concept of insan, the concept of knowledge, the concept of God, the concept of prophethood. So actually when you look at the worldview, it's similar to what we have in philosophy, because philosophy deals with metaphysics, that is God. It also deals with epistemology, that is knowledge. It also deals with values, theology, and also finally deals with logic, which is the method. In other words, when you deliberate, you have to be logical so that people can understand you. So to some extent, people say that even scholars, medical scholars, John Dewey says, philosophy is a theory about, a general theory about education. So if you are interested in education, it is very strongly related to philosophy, because philosophy deals with the same elements that education deals with. What does education deal with? We all education, we deal with the learners, we deal with the knowledge, right? And then we deal with, who else? The teachers. And what is the teachers, what do the teachers resemble? The methods. So we have the knowledge, we have the learner, and then we have the methods. Okay? And when we say methods, for the teacher to be effective, the teacher has to be logical, and that's where logic comes in. And the only other thing is that it's not just knowledge, but it's also values. So when you talk about what is the content of education, it's not just knowledge, but also values. So this, as you can see, the content of this education is very much related to philosophy. And philosophy, I would say, it's another word used is the worldview, because the worldview deals with the same thing actually. Okay? So, and also the purposes ought to be Islamized for the benefit of mankind. That is. Okay, now we move to, there are some values here. Of course, if you're talking about Islamic values, there are many more values, but I'm just giving some here, okay? In context of Malaysia, these are some of the universal values that the Ministry of Education has considered important to be instilled in the students. Sorry, well. But as you can see, if you look at these values,
Ma'am, we take rest for short while. Better you take rest for 5 minutes. You please take your seat.
But what do you think about these values? What do you think about these values? I'm saying that if you want Islamic values to be infused, these are some of the values. Right? And if you look at this one for the Malaysian school system, you have these 16 values.
What is KBSM, ma'am? KBSM? KBSM.
Oh, sorry, KBSM is the Lewis Curriculum Bersepandu Sekolah Menengah or Integrated Curriculum for Secondary School. This is for the school. Is it contradictory to Islamic values? Or these are also Islamic values?
No, these are not.
KBSM stands for
what? Elaboration.
Integrated Curriculum for Secondary School.
It's a Malaysian term, right?
Malaysian term, Curriculum Bersepandu Sekolah Menengah. It means Integrated Curriculum for Secondary School.
School.
Yeah, school. So if you look at this, are they contradictory to Islamic values? They're not, right? But are they sufficient? They're not sufficient.
No.
Why not sufficient? Why do you say they're not sufficient? That means, in other words, it's not adequate. Something is still lacking. What is lacking then? Unity? Unity?
No.
What?
Humanity,
The creator, absence of who there is no presence of the creator.
Right, nothing mentioning about the creator, right?
Like the religious terms.
religion.
Religious terms like knowledge means akal. So these are not.
What do you mean by religious term?
Duty towards Allah.
Oh.
Duties and responsibilities towards Allah.
Like one thing, ma'am. You told in your earlier slides like men, insan. Okay, so rather we will concentrate on insan, not men. So I think these things are absent here. Like when we are telling something about the empathy.
Yeah. So you have to understand why it's like
We
this.
could tell about insan.
Yeah.
Insan.
So you have to understand that in a Malaysian context, you cannot have it written explicitly like what you mentioned in the previous slide. Okay?
Yeah.
Because these values, they are universal values, in other words, it is also accepted by other faiths. Okay?
Right.
Non-Muslim faith. Okay?
Right.
This is meant for Malaysians. That means it is meant for Muslims and also non-Muslims, because in Malaysia you have quite a sizable number of non-Muslims. Okay, but if you want to see the wording that relates to what you have just now here, then you have to see inside the syllabus of the Islamic studies. Then they get explicit about saying that the aims of education is to create a Muslim man who is going to be the Imam and the Khalifa, you know, because that is specific for the Muslim. But here, this is meant for
common,
for all.
generic.
Right. So that's why, as long as the people have this, the only thing said that is in the Muslim, Malaysian philosophy, it says that to create this insan, this man, is knowledgeable, morally excellent, okay, but also based on devotion to God. So I would say that in that particular phrase, to raise a balanced, integrated individual, balance in terms of his physical, social, spiritual, moral development, based on devotion to God. So in that particular phrase, already the Malaysian philosophy of education has eliminated secularism. That means it's saying that there is no place for people without faith in God here. And it allows room for the teachers to integrate religious values as well. I mean, because the philosophy is as such. So it's not up to the teachers themselves, whether they have the knowledge, the values, to transmit to the students or to construct in the students. Okay. So I'm supposed to talk about curriculum. Yes.
You have mentioned the 16 universal values. I think if you talk about universal values, it may be more than hundreds, I think. Because many values here, if you think that if you give me time, I can give you many values which are considered here. Even not even from Islamic perspective. For example, if I say solidarity, this is another value what we should have, joint responsibility. And here also she has mentioned about unity. So I think what you have considered here, I think you have analyzed this in the context of your country and what the school students
on
should
what
this
basis?
one.
On what basis?
Yeah, this you have given.
So this
but
is,
I don't think that the 16 university values are sufficient even to identify that these are the things what.
No, I think this is based on the recommendation of the various religious groups. They sit down and say what they would agree. Okay? So, but basically, if you talk about, if you look at all of this, it is how to live together in a harmony, having respect for each other, and having value of, let's say, being what you call this, just, courageous, diligence, can cooperate. You know, I mean, those are good values for people who want to live in a community harmoniously.
These are some of the values.
Yes, not all the values, but these are the important values they felt that students should have to live as a community. A plural community, not a homogeneous community. Even if it's a homogeneous community, they still need this.
In this 16 list of universal values, one is cleanliness of body and mind. Do you think simple cleanliness of body and mind is enough, or the purification of body and mind? What is the correct?
I'm just translating it from the Malay. Explain that the body. I mean, you must be clean so that you don't harm others, body others, and so on. And also,
I should.
Yeah. These are the things. So yes, I agree, brother. I agree with you, but I agree with you. It's not just body and mind. It's body and spirit also. The nerves has to be purified, right?
Soul.
Yeah, but here it's stated just body and mind. That's why I said this is not perfect. There are criticisms we can give, but remember this is meant for the whole community, not just one particular group. Okay. Okay. What is the curriculum then? I think since we talk about curriculum. Okay, can anyone tell me what is the curriculum?
No.
You want to talk about Islamizing the curriculum? What's the curriculum? Anyone? Don't look at the answer. I'm sure you have used the term curriculum so often, right?
Yes.
Okay, just tell me what
The outline what is to be taught in the class.
outline what to be taught in the class. So that's one form. What is inside the outline? You say outline of what is to be taught in class. Only the content?
Yes,
The
content.
outline? Just the content, and that suffices for the curriculum.
Objectives should be there. Objectives of the course.
Objectives, yeah, also the objective of the course. What do you want to achieve, right?
The direction.
So you must have the objective, you must have the content. What else?
Direction for the students. Right.
Direction, what do
For
you
the
mean?
students to be followed in the class. It's given by the
Course requirements, what the students should do.
You mean the activities, the solution, assignments? What do you mean, sister? What do you mean, sister? You say direction.
direction given by the teacher.
Inside the course outline?
No.
The total outline is the curriculum. Including the objectives, including all that.
So yeah, basically the component first of all is objective. What this course tries to achieve, right? Very important. Otherwise, you will be measuring different things. You don't know what you want, and you will not be producing what is expected. So you must have learning objectives. You must have objective for the course, and then you must have the content, the knowledge contents, which is supposed to achieve the objective, right? And then you need to have
objectives, materials.
And then you need to have, as you said, activities for the student. What are they supposed to do to achieve the content? Are you going to give them a presentation that they can present? If you're talking about the ability to articulate the argument, will you allow them time to present their assignments?
This may be co-curriculum.
Yes, yes.
Not for
This class is
Let's look at university now. I'm talking at the course now. Co-curriculum is for the overall university program. But let's look at, you're talking about course, you mentioned it's not a course. So what else do you have? What kind of activities students need to do?
Yeah.
Right? So whether it's lectures, discussion, right? Projects.
presentations, case analysis.
And then what else?
Class test.
Evaluation.
Yes, evaluation. You need to give them
process.
tests. Why you give them evaluation?
To get feedback of the
To
To
categorize
get the
them.
feedback. Whose feedback?
lessons feedback. Lessons feedback from the teachers.
From the teacher?
To give an idea to
You
the
give that to
students
student for whose
about how their
purpose?
performance will be.
Just to grade them so that they have A, B, C, and then Z. And then
Just to
they
understand whether the students understood my deliberation, whether they understood how they are being prepared as per attaining the goal of the curriculum.
So you want to know your students' progress,
Yes,
basically,
yes.
whether they understood what they've been teaching all this while. If they get less than 50% score in the exam, that means they only understand you half of what you taught. If they can get at least 75%, that means they understood 3/4 of what you taught, right? So that is because we give, if that is the final exam, that's what it is. But if it is the midterm exam, that is for you to identify where are their weaknesses, and you can still do something to improve them, right? So basically, if you're talking about a course outline, yes, it is a component of curriculum. But curriculum is not just that particular course that is taken by the student. If I say the curriculum for the whole of his Bachelor of Education degree, what does that mean then? Just now you're talking about one particular course, right? But what about if you're saying it's Bachelor in Economics? What is the curriculum then? Where he has more courses, right? Not just one course.
All courses that the students need to go through.
It's the same component, actually.
Usually,
Everything that you offer for the student, that becomes curriculum. Everything that goes on, whether it's through the courses or it's not through the co-curricular and so on, that you provide for him or her, that is part of the curriculum. All the activities that goes into the learning, teaching and learning of the student. But
planning.
Yeah.
The graduation.
Only that the course outline is a miniature curriculum. Just as the course outlined as 4 components, okay, similarly, the whole program should have these 4 components. In other words, if you are a Bachelor of Education, Bachelor of Economics, and it's a 4-year program, you have to decide again, what is your objective? What kind of students you want to produce? And this is where, when you're talking about Islamization, you must have on top of your mind, you want to produce an integrated economist who graduates from your program. But you don't only want him to be integrated, you want something more. You want him also to be competent in his economic knowledge, right? What else do you want him to be? So you have to list down what do you want. Because this is crucial in your course offering. Because if you're not clear on the objective, then your course offering also will be clear. It will be like a mixture of anything. Just imitating another university or imitating another program. But you yourself must be clear what is it that you want to achieve from your graduates of your program. If it's integrated, already use integrated Islamically, okay, competent economically, then what are the courses? So these are again the first objective in the program. What else? The second component, the content, the course content. So now what are the courses to be offered? Are you just going to offer introduction to economics, macroeconomics, introduction to macroeconomics,
Islamic economics,
and nothing to do with Islamic ethics, and nothing to do with what do you call this?
some other supporting courses like management.
So in other words, that will shape your student. So you must have an objective, and then you have, if you want them to integrate Islamically, definitely you must offer some course on Islam itself. Either Islamic, it depends on you what you really want, whether just ethics, or whether you want to have Islamic faith, or you want to have Islamic history, or maybe you can have the history of economics from the Islamic perspective even. So I mean, there are many things you are free, because 4-year program is a long time, isn't it? And you offer maybe how many courses for graduation to graduate the Bachelor of Economics? How many courses you offer in 4 years? Every year you have 8 courses. 8 times 4 is 32 courses. So what are the kind of courses? But then of course you have to bear in mind, in your own specialization, there are the specialization that they are in. For example, whether they be marketing or management, right? Or finance, then you have to cater for that. But don't forget, because in the Western context, they will have all of that, but they will have nothing to do with the faith values and so on, because they are not talking about producing the integrated economies with Islamic values. They are only interested in producing economies who can function in the society as an economist. But don't underestimate them. Because today, I think any field in America or in England or in Western context, they will have the ethics of that area, right? Business ethics. Somebody will have to do that, right? Because that means they are also concerned about ethics. So don't underestimate them, because sometimes that's why they are more better than us professionally, because they adhere to their ethics, and we don't. We have so many values, but we don't adhere to our values, so we become weak. But they don't use the term ethics. This is the professional way to do it, right? They work professionally. By professional there, they mean they follow the work ethics. So this is so the second component are the courses. The third component again are the things you provide for the students. But this is more of experiences outside of the classroom, which is also academically inclined. Maybe you give them job training, or you give them what do you call this, to do a visit somewhere. So these are experiences you provide. And finally, of course, you have the examination, right? So these actually are the components of curriculum. You notice here, I've written here. According to the grandfather of curriculum, which is very professor at Chicago, when he died, okay, Ralph Tyler, he defined it as all of the learning of students which is planned by and directed by the school to attain its educational goals. So here you change the word school to the university or to the kuliah, okay, to the institute, to the faculty. And again he attempts it is easily conceptualized through 4 major questions, which are related to philosophy, content, methodology, and evaluation. For example, the first one is objective. What educational purposes should the school seek to attain? What educational experiences can be provided that are likely to attain these purposes? How can these educational experiences be effectively organized? So, you want to teach students, for example, one of your goals is to produce critical thinking students. Okay? And then, in your class, you always give a lecture to 100 students. Tell me, is there any contradiction here? Can you achieve the goal of having a critical student? What do you think? You give lecture to 100, to all the students, 100 of them, but your goal is to produce critical thinking students, or students who can articulate their views well in arguments. Is that a good method? My question is that a good method of teaching?
No.
Why not?
I can't reach to everybody. I can't give everybody a chance to express either her view. So they cannot be critical.
Not only that, actually the level of every student is not same.
Sure.
So I cannot make all the students in the same actually.
But why is that got to do with critical thinking, even if the level is not the same?
Sorry.
No, I mean,
not all of them can be able to consume same.
Okay, what does it mean to be critical? What is needed to be fostered?
I think
to encourage critical thinking.
I think he has made a very good point, because if all the students are not of the same level, you cannot give the good, critically adequately nice lectures to all of them, because not all of them will.
Okay, even if you give good, nice lecture, we have all good students here, all A students here.
Not all
but you still give only lectures.
Not all the students
because
are A students.
I'm trying to what do you call this?
Okay,
to show you the problem. Okay.
Okay.
If you say that it's not possible because you have different ability students. Suppose I have one same abilities group of homogeneous ability students, and they are all, let's say, above mediocre. Okay?
Then what will happen?
And then I still lecture to them. You think I can produce critical thinking students? You have a point just now when you say, suppose it's a big lecture and there's no time for discussion at all. How can you arouse critical thinking? Because critical thinking requires the ability to raise questions.
Student self-realization.
Yeah, if you can't give questions, you can't discuss, then you can't raise the ability to think.
Yeah, one thing is, this is not a teacher will not deliver like a public speaker. The class size should be limited so that there is good interaction. Both the
so
ways.
that's
Here you
my
see,
point.
we are only 25. If this is 125, then it is not possible to ask this question to this audience.
It will just become a lecture.
Yes.
A lecture doesn't allow for critical thinking so much. So that's why you talk about your objective is to get students who are critical. But then in your practice in the university, you have a class of 100 and you encourage that. You don't encourage having smaller class of 25 students at most, where you can have this kind of discussion and arguments. So then, if there is no discussion, the student will just copy your notes, Nothing will be raised, nothing will provoke in his mind. And you don't have time for that because the class size is so big.
For brainstorming.
No, but I am asking one question here. Do you think that the class size, it should be included in the curriculum? Because this is the corporate philosophy, corporate objective. Because there are many education institutions which are now looking for business even. Because they need more students, there will be more income generation, and the goal of education is not the main one.
Yeah, of course, that is part of the curriculum. The class size is part of the curriculum. If you are the educational manager, you have to decide. If you are the lecturer, you can decide how to seat your student. Do you seat your student this way, or you seat them like in a seminar form? That is part of you have that authority to do that. And if you seat them all like this, which I don't really favor, I think Abdulaziz will know my style of teaching by now. Okay? Then you are saying that you will only have interaction between you and me. Okay? So there's a philosophy even in the sitting of the students. But if I sit you in let's say like a triangle, we sit all by the side of the triangle, I mean not sorry triangle, rectangle, or even the halakah, the Muslim halakah in the past, which is a semicircle, okay? Then you are having the interaction between you and me, and so you and the students, other students. See? So there is different in the philosophy of university. So that's part of the curriculum. Okay, yes.
Perhaps you are pointing on the layout of the class.
Yes, layout of the class.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it should be just favorable for the critical.
Yes. Now, what I want to say is this: if you have a philosophy,
yes,
and then you must do things that will attain the aims.
Okay.
But if you have the aim there and you do something that is contrast, contradict the aim, you will not achieve your aim. So this is something that you have to be aware. Okay, sir?
Okay, Prof.
So just 1 minute. I'm not clear about your suggestion. What do you suggest? You suggest the classroom should be there should have an environment where mutual interaction will be there, right?
Right, sure, definitely.
Okay. In that case, the class size should not be so large. Okay. In that this should be a relative concept, because in the context of, for example, third world countries like Bangladesh, if I reduce the size of class, then many students will get deprived of education, and some commercial institutions, they will get the opportunity to extract profit from common people who are not able to.
This is the economics of education.
Should be a related concept.
Economics of education.
Absolute concept.
Yeah. Actually, I'm saying this. It doesn't mean that every classroom ought to be done that way. I understand the constraint of manpower, especially in terms of lecturers and so on. Okay? So you can have the introductory course, 100 level course, a math lecture, although that is not the best. Okay? But then you can gradually make sure that the class size becomes smaller and smaller. Because they will grow and have the opportunity to have the discussion. Okay? So that constraint, I leave it to you. I'm not trying to solve the problem. I'm just trying to tell you that when you have the aim, you must have activities that try to attain the aim. There's no point you have an aim, but you do something that contradicts the aims. Okay?
Okay, Prof. Would you just tell me one thing? What is the, in fact, globally recognized class size? Because what should be the, in fact, standard one?
There is, all I can say, there are many studies, but I wouldn't say that large class size is bad, small class size is good, because you see, if I go to Japan, the school in Japan, they can have a class size that's about 50 to 60 students, and yet they can still top the world ranking, IIMSS, in mathematics. But the only thing I noticed is that their students always go to the tuition center. So in other words, it's not just coming from the school, but it's a culture there to send their students to take tuition. Juku, they call it. That means it might not be effective if they have not sent the children to the tuition center. Of course, I think logically, I mean just common sense, right? The smaller the class, the better it is, because there is more interaction between you and the student, and you can give them much individual attention. I mean, that is natural. Okay, I think we shouldn't spend so much time here.
What is your experience at IIUM? What is the average size of the undergraduate class?
Okay.
What is that?
There is a ruling in IIUM to have at least 50 students. I mean, the most. Most 50 students. Yeah, it's in the class. So we can go up until 50.
The average is less than that.
Yeah, but of course it's less than that.
Not more than 50.
Yeah, no. In fact, for education, I would say that it has to be less than, I mean, about 25 to 30. Because when it comes to teaching methods, everyone has to be given a chance to do it. You know, you have so many that they don't have it.
And
So,
you know,
it depends on the class. But anyway, when I first got back in 1996, I think, from my PhD, the culture in my Department of Education then was to have a big math lecture. You have a professor teaching, and then later on you break the small group with the what they call tutors. You know, But I disagree with that, because what happened is that most of the tutors are enjoying themselves. Because they don't prepare anything, just sit and then just start talking based on the lectures given by the professors. So I believe that if you want to do critical thinking, it has to be everyone be given a small class. Okay, that's
okay,
the point.
Prof,
I think I want
I'm not the class size. I'm just talking about one important thing here, the curriculum. You have considered here detailed one that there are many learning issues that should be incorporated in the curriculum one, and you have identified here the 4 major issues that should be incorporated here. But according to my personal experience, I've seen that one of the important issues, which is degree of importance, that is what we call the credit hour. Because I have seen that many students, if the credit hour is 0, they are not attentive to the classes. If the credit hour is 3, they want to enhance their grade point average, CGPA, GPA, and they are very much attentive. So I think degree of importance of the course, this is one of the major issues. What should be incorporated in the curriculum? Yes, you have also considered here the contact hour, credit hour issues.
Yeah,
but what do you think? Because from my experience, I have seen that many students, if the credit hour is 0, then they are less attentive to the classes.
Non-credit course. We say about non-credit course.
Yeah, I guess that is true. That's human nature.
But if you have, it's not.
Human nature. No incentive. Okay? No incentive means there's no need for me to attend the class. I don't come. Most of us don't go to university to get knowledge. I mean, our own understanding, consciousness. But we just go there to get the scroll, the diploma scroll. So if that is not going to affect my GPA, and another course will affect my GPA, might as well I'll give more attention to that affects my GPA. That's natural. But, so I don't think there is courses with 0 credit hours. Okay. Either you give 0.5 or 1 credit hour, but not 0, okay?
No.
Okay.
Actually, in public university, there is a system, no non-credit course in public.
Okay, you can decide, you can deliberate. Because you know this, you can deliberate. Okay, this is the curriculum model. Okay, when you draft a curriculum, what we need, okay? So, before you can draft the curriculum, you have to decide where, before you even, when I say curriculum here, you have to imagine 2 levels, okay? One is that bigger level, the university level, when they want to do the program for Bachelor of Economics. The other is the macro level, your own course. Your own course, one single course. Okay? So, at either level, okay, the most important thing is the source. Before you can put things inside your course outline or inside your program structure, you have to find the sources that will tell you what is important to be included. Which knowledge is most worth, they call it. Okay? So, that sources can come from your knowledge of society. What's important in society now? IT? Or then we put ICT. Okay. What's important is Islamic economics today? Then we put Islamic economics. So that is knowledge from the society. What is the social in society now? You want to tackle that? You put it in there. Also, the learner. The nature of the learner himself. What is the learner? This is more typically for school. For university, I think the learner at this level is not interested in moral development anymore. Maybe when he was in the primary or secondary school, you are interested in developing or shaping his moral values, right? But now at the university, he's already like, if you take the proverb, the Malay proverb of the bamboo shoot, he's now a very tough bamboo shoot. You cannot, what do you call that? It's not flexible anymore. You try to bend it, he will break. Okay. So that's why moral development, you begin when it's a bamboo shoot, as small as growing, you can shape it, right? So this is something you need to know. At this level, university level, what does the learner need? Is he more interested in moral values? Is he already formed? I think most of them are already formed. Of course, you can always change, otherwise there's no point having akhlaq classes, right? You can still change them, but it's going to be very slow. And I don't think that should be your, what you call this, your major role anymore at the university. That should be the role of the family and the role in the primary and secondary school. So what is the learner in the university? What is it that you want to develop in the learner in university? What is he capable of now compared to when he was in primary or secondary school? I guess now he has grown intellectually. He's more interested in the thinking process, right? You can focus more on his intellectual development rather than on his moral development. Of course, if they're not morally developed, you still have to pay attention, but they're not going to be as easy to handle as when they were little. Okay? So now, you need to know the learner. What is it you want to focus on him? His spiritual development? Yes. The spiritual development develops later. The intellectual development also develops later, right? So now they are ready for that. At the university level, they are ready about spiritual development. They are ready for intellectual development. They are also ready for social development. Okay, intellectual development here refers to knowledge, values, skills also, right? Of course, when you were young, you were asked to pray. You do the prayer. But you do it because you were compelled to. But at the university level, you can think for yourself already. So that's why I said, and you might go deeper into spirituality. So this is what we mean by the nature of the learner. We have to know the learner when he's in primary school, secondary school, and now at tertiary level. Once you have got that, then you can form what we call a tentative objective. Why we say tentative? Because maybe you come up with a list of 50 objectives. And you can't achieve that within, let's say, 4 years. So now you put it to scrutiny by philosophy and psychology. Philosophy, as I said now, is about your worldview, okay? And you will now see the objective and say, okay, this one is against my worldview, take it out. Okay? This one is very crucial for my what do you call this, civilization, for my culture, a civilized man in my tradition. I have it. So that's the role of philosophy. Philosophy is like a filter. It filters the unnecessary one from the necessary one. Similarly in psychology, because psychology deals with the learner. You propose something that might be out of reach for the tertiary level. Psychologically, it's out. You might be proposing something that is for the primary school, something out of reach of the learner. You want to deal so much about critical thinking for a primary school kid. So that might be psychologically said they're not ready yet. Take it out. So that's why you have this screen. Once they have been screened, then you will have your precise objectives. That is why philosophy and psychology have a very important role to play in curriculum development. Even at the bigger picture, we need people with philosophical ideas, philosophical ideas, to come in and scrutinize all the objectives that are set up, whether it's going to for or not for the goal. Okay? Because philosophy deals with aims. Okay, and psychology deals with the human development, whether they are ready or not. Human cognitive development, affective development, spiritual development also actually. We are talking about the real psychology. And once you have that, then you can now select the experiences. That means select the courses to be offered. The courses in terms of the bigger picture, and the content in terms of the course outline, the macro picture. Okay? And then you think how to evaluate whether you achieve your objective or not. So evaluation in terms of the small picture is easy because it's just one course. But evaluation for the bigger picture is a bit difficult. I mean, to see whether the graduates of IIUM are really integrated, are really, what they call this, have good public relations, you know, are Islamic. So it's not easy to evaluate that. I remember I was supposed to present a paper in Japan on internationalization and integration of this university. I created a questionnaire inside Google and sent it to all, to some, to feel that I can reach graduates of this university. I realized that most of them appreciated the fact that they learned more about Islam in this university when they came here. So in other words, we have to have some yardstick to measure. whether we have reached our purpose or not. It's easy to measure in the macro because it's just a class, right? But at a macro level, we need to sit down to see what are the criteria that we had before, and then now give it to the student or do some kind of test. So this is a cycle of curriculum. For your information, this is cycle of curriculum. When people do curriculum review, what you do then? You will look at all the 4 components: the philosophy, the content, the learning, the methodology that you use. Methodology is very important. Actually, it's not explained here, but methodology is very important. If you want your student to be articulate, because there's argument today whether we are doing what we call subject-centered or learner-centered. Most of in the past, from the past, as far as Socrates or even to our own time of the Khalifah, you know, if you read the book, The Curriculum of the Muslim, most of them were employing what we call traditional methods. Traditional method, you see the word traditional methods in education, it means it is very subject-centered. Subject-centered means I, the teacher, I will decide what is important for my student. You have to read this. And so, what I do is, I might just take some notes and you will copy the notes. That is what traditional education has been. Okay? And come the progressive movement of the 20th century, they say that this education, this style of teaching or learning is not suitable today, isn't it? Because today we want students to construct for themselves, to understand by themselves, not just to be fed. Because if they are fed, and the way we evaluate also is just to make sure that they have got it up here. It's like the traditional method is like we are a container, and the teacher has all the knowledge, and the teacher will pour into the container, right? And then at the end of the day, the student will pour it back on the piece of paper to the test. And then whether they will remember that for the rest of their life is also something else. They might not remember, because most of us, when we ask you what you learned in the university, unless you are going to be a lecturer, like all of us here, you won't remember actually what were you taught. Actually, all those exercises was just to make us more mature cognitively, intellectually, right? So we can think well. Okay. So this is the method is important. So the method today, because today the society is different, the marketplace is different. They want people who can work as a team, people who can have self-confidence, good communication skills, right? So the method to emphasize today is not subject-centered anymore. Most would have presentation like this. Students will present, okay, and then the question coming from their friends, so that the knowledge that they acquired, they will remember longer, and it will be more useful for them. So this is a cycle for curriculum, okay? And how should our curriculum look like? Somebody has tried to draw up the Islamic curriculum by comparing, contrasting the nature of man and the nature of knowledge. Okay, this is a model drawn out by Professor Alatas. Okay, but of course there are other models, and I believe that he got opposite from Plato. Because Plato, the way he works his education system was, he looked at society, and then he saw society based into 4 levels of people. The ruler, he said the soldier or the guardsman, and then the craftsman, I think 3 levels. So he noticed that based on these 3 levels, then you have to have education that's also hierarchical and elitist, like having a pyramid where the king, the philosopher king, is on top there. So he looked at the state and then he brings it to education, to men. But here he's looking at men. From men, you go to the education. So when you look at men having these faculties, what do you call this? The heart, soul, and then the outer body. Therefore, then look again. Knowledge seems to be like that. Apparently, knowledge has the revealed knowledge, and then you have the akliya knowledge. So from the nature of man, then becomes the nature of knowledge, and then therefore the curriculum should also correspond to that. So this is one model, okay, one model. And yes, that's his problem. I don't think I will explain the problem here. But what you notice that in this curriculum, you will have here a specialization, let's say economics, or even engineering, or even science, natural science. But whoever in every specialization, besides the knowledge itself, there is also a small core that comprises of the fardu ain. Okay, so this is one model. I forgot just now regarding the source. Okay, I forgot to mention just now the source. I mentioned society and learner. Another important source for making the objective is the subject matter. When I say subject matter, there is the expert in that particular area. You need to have the input from the expert in the particular area before you can come up with the objective. Okay? So these are the things there. Okay? I'm not going to talk about this. Okay? So in terms of the conceptual framework for the curriculum, okay, you have to have vertical organization, and also you have to have horizontal organization. Why vertical? Because we normally have in the bigger picture, maybe we have a 4-year program, right? You have a first year student, second year student, third year student, and fourth year student. So if there are 4 years, that means there are four layers. So what do you have to offer for every different layers? And then the other one is the horizontal organization. That is how the courses that is offered in economics is also how it's blended together. The student might not just take courses in economics, the student might also take courses in revealed knowledge, right? Also take courses in social science. Okay, so you also have to see how the curriculum looks like horizontally, how it looks like vertically. Okay, I think that's clear. You all are in that field. Okay, and in terms of the relationship, it's not only we in the Muslim world are concerned about integration and so on. If you look at balance, even the Western curriculum specialists, they would care about having balance. In other words, balance in the sense that are you only focusing on the intellectual or neglecting this other dimension, like say moral, spiritual, and so on. Okay. Integration. They also have integration. It means here not integration of revealed and quiet knowledge, but it means integration of what we call this theory and practice. Theory and practice. Okay. Also the various sciences. Okay. They also make sure that there is continuity from level 1 to level 2 and so on, and there is a sequence. Actually, when we start teaching about this, okay, it always brings me back to the fact that we actually already came up with this. I mean, the Muslim tradition. If I can share with you. See? If you look at the issue that they raised just now, sequence, continuity of knowledge and so on, it will bring us back actually to attempts at classification of knowledge.